In other Supreme Court justice news, this was the week where another Supreme Court justice was in the spotlight but for his conflicts of interest. And yet, for some reason, Republicans haven't batted an eye. Right-wing Justice Clarence Thomas has had quite the week. Of course, he's not actually right-wing because, they're not supposed to be political. Stop. First, he was hospitalized for an infection that definitely wasn't probably COVID. And now he wishes that he were back in that hospital because he is, now that he's out, he can't get any more sympathy points because thanks to a January 6th investigative committee and specifically text messages from former chief of staff to Trump, Mark Meadows, we learned that Clarence Thomas's wife, Virginia Thomas, or Ginny to her friends, has used the pandemic and has really honestly done what every other Facebook mom has done and become a full-blown QAnon Karen. She wanted to see, she's sent many text messages to Mark Meadows and to other Republicans. She wanted to see more congresspeople protesting in the streets after Donald Trump lost the last election. She wanted the quote-unquote Kraken to be released, a mythical pedophile eating monster that Trump keeps in Mar-a-Lago, of course. And she was intimately involved in the attempts to overturn the 2020 election and the January 6th Stop the Steal rally. Let's just look into this a little bit. So, from the Times, text show Ginny Thomas's embrace of conspiracy theories. She had a range of efforts to keep President Donald Trump in power. 2 days after the election, Virginia Thomas texted an old friend, Mark Meadows. Oh, that's fun that they know each other. How cute. She sent messages that had been making the rounds on pro-Trump sites, okay, so not even original, where anger over the election echoed her own raw feelings, including this passage, quote, Biden crime family and ballot fraud co-conspirators are being arrested and detained for ballot fraud right now and over coming days and will be living in barges off of Gitmo to face military tribunals for sedition. What?
Do you think she added emojis too? Just like broken heart, broken heart. I mean,
barge island.
Or sent it like the animal saying it like, we got to release the Kraken. It is insane. I mean, you learn Ginny Thomas. She's friends with Pepe the Frog and Q and all these things. And her husband is on the Supreme Court. And listen, I do think it's tricky, this idea of like, well, if the spouse does something that shouldn't necessarily reflect on the partner. But if I was on the Supreme Court and my girlfriend was like, that election, I'm not feeling so good about it, I'd be like, okay, baby. Okay, all right. I will get the election overturned.
I'll look into it.
Whatever makes you happy.
I'll do that thing you like. I'm sorry. Not you, but Ginny Thomas. There is more. I'm going to blast through this, but she wrote to Meadows, do not concede. Quote, it takes time for the army who is gathering for his back. What? The fuck? So we know this because of all the text messages that are coming out, because of the January 6th committee and investigation. If you didn't know, her messages tap into a deep well of debunked conspiracy theories, references to the rounding up of elected officials, reporters, and bureaucrats from military tribunals like Guantanamo Bay are drawn from QAnon, which imagines Satan-worshipping leaders running the country and trafficking children. But it wasn't just that, dude. So she was also on the board of what's called the Council for National Policy, which is like a dark money group. And she was one of the 9-member board. And that CNP, after the election, had a huge role in trying to overturn the election. So it included circulating a document to its members in November 2020, urging them to pressure Republican lawmakers in swing states to challenge the results and appoint an alternate slate of electors. Remember this whole fucking alternate slate in what world? In the alternate universe? Demand that they not abandon their constitutional responsibilities during a time like this, the document said. Not only that, but January 6th, the Stop the Steal rally itself, she was involved in. One of the organizers, Dustin Stockton, told the Times that Miss Thomas had played a mediating role among different factions of organizers ahead of the rally. They didn't know what they wanted for snacks. Was it going to be like orange slices or, fruit roll-up. Miss Thomas disputed that account, and she said she, quote, played no role with those who were planning and leading the January 6th events, a claim undercut by her communications with Mr. Meadows, who was deeply involved in planning the protests that led to the storming of the Capitol. So evidence, but okay, John Marco, yeah, maybe she's not close to her husband. Maybe it's like the Conways, Kellyanne and whatever the hell his name is.
Maybe it's like the Conways. They're both in it together, and it's all a scam
to get a reality show. You know what I mean? Like, imagine that's such a long con to get a Bravo show.
Listen, I've been waiting my whole life to get a Bravo show. That's nothing.
But actually, they're very close, which I'm like, yay, love wins. But whenever love wins, it's not always good. So the Thomases have been a fiercely close couple for decades. In his memoir, Justice Thomas wrote that they were, quote, one being, an amalgam. God. And called her his best friend. She often uses similar language to describe her husband.
It's so funny because he volunteered that information. So you'll see these reports that come out. And he'll say, my wife has no bearing on my decisions. And that's like, well, actually, in the book you wrote last year, you said, quote unquote, I let my wife choose everything for us, including Supreme Court decisions. And he didn't have to say any of that. But it's one of these things where, like, I mean, I guess this is what gaslighting is. But it's such an extreme form where it's like you literally wrote down that that's not true.
An amalgam.
An amalgam, a word no one's even used except to describe that they shouldn't be a judge. An amalgam.
Well, you're right, because this is someone who also is so sacred about the separation, or publicly sacred about the supposed separation between politics and decision making on the Supreme Court. But then there's no separation with him and his wife. Oh yeah, what's mine is yours, yours is mine. This decision, so suddenly there is no line. And we always knew there wasn't a line between his politics and his decision making. He's one of the most conservative justices, reliably conservative justices on the court. Every goddamn time he's going to be with the conservative majority. Like, even Kavanaugh's had surprising rulings, and like fucking Gorsuch, that dude has had surprising rulings. Clarence Thomas is never surprising on how he's going to come down. It's going to be pro-corporate, against civil rights, like against it. That's just it. Like, boom, done. And he was in a minority vote about this very fucking issue this year. He was the only Supreme Court justice to say that, yeah, no. It's illegal to gain access to Trump's messages to find out what happened on January 6th. Yeah, we should block that. It was his executive privilege. He was one of the few people, or the few justices that did, the only. And now, oh, buddy, that looks so bad on you, bro.
I don't know how to feel. At a certain point, you go, the Supreme Court, lifetime appointments, all this has to come to an end. Because it's so upsetting, and no one seems to be able to do anything about it. The
30 years.
The only dissenter. That's crazy.
Yeah, he's been on the court for 30 years. Like, that's enough. We're done. Wrap it up. So, of course, he's not going to resign. He's facing some calls to resign. Not all Democrats, because, that's not how they roll. I guess. But like Ilhan Omar is asking him to resign. He's not going to resign, and he could be impeached. But again, in this Senate, probably not. It probably won't happen. But yeah, that's we will see how this unfolds. But just lol, the whole thing, everyone can shut the fuck up about not being partisan and the Supreme Court. We need to expand it. You are right. What's going on, Frantifa? If you haven't already, subscribe to this channel right now. Hit that button. And also, you can become a patron and support the show every single week. Get access to bonus episodes and exclusive merchandise. Patreon.com/Bitchuation Room. Do it.